Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is DuckTales Remastered. Can we just change this to why the hell is DuckTales Remastered? That would be a great question, actually. That would be something that I feel is very difficult for a lot of people to answer, or even just think about explaining. It's like, yeah, you know what the world really needs? A remake of DuckTales for the NES. Like, there's just this desire, this gaping void that needs to be filled in the gaming scene. And as a result, we have DuckTales. Okay, right, fair enough. I guess. Brought to you by Disney and Wayforward, as well as Capcom. And it is kind of what it sounds like, really. It's a remake of the NES game. Life is, in fact, like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Beware, I'm not sure you can handle the intensity. Alright, let's get in. First things first, hey, it's a mouse-driven options menu. That is actually thoroughly unexpected, considering. Aside from that, though, the options are limited to say the least. Like, there's nothing. AA, resolution, and that's it. So if you're running on a crappy computer, you're screwed. Controller configuration, you can at least rebind, which is always good. There are like 6 buttons. It's really not a difficult game to use. Which is good, because the game outside of the tutorial insists on using Xbox button prompts instead of PC keyboard button prompts. Why? I don't know. It's just yet another oversight. There's also hard pogo on or off. I don't even know what that is. All I know is if it's restricting my ability to pogo, then I want no part of it. So let's get into it, shall we? The NES game that I have absolutely no experience with. So, can I just make this abundantly clear as I bounce around like a moron? I am going to be viewing this from the perspective of someone that didn't own an NES. That means I have not played DuckTales at all. I have watched videos of DuckTales, but I've not played it. So I don't really have any experience. But if this is all it involved, then I can imagine it was a smash hit in its day. Because, let's be honest, there wasn't all that many duck pogoing simulators available at the time, so one could say this would be the premiere. As you can see, it's using Xbox button prompts, which is kind of annoying, thankfully. Since the game's only got like 6 buttons, it's pretty easy to guess what it is. Let's go diving in the money bin! There's no practical benefit to this, by the way, but it's cool that it's there. You even get an achievement for doing it. There's no reason for you to do this whatsoever. It's just there. It's like, hey, drink in that nostalgia, guys. I mean, because let's be honest, that's what the game relies on. It relies on you being nostalgic for one of 2 things, or a combination of both. Either DuckTales, which, hey, I grew up with DuckTales. It was one of my favorite cartoons. That and Tailspin. They were awesome. So it's like, hey, DuckTales. Or, of course, having played the NES game, or maybe both. So, the game is chock full of collectibles and things like that, which is not surprising considering it is pretty much relying on your nostalgia for this particular franchise. Everything is currently locked, as you can see. This part of the menu isn't mouse-driven, I don't even know why. Again, lazy porting, who can say? You can check out various characters, and you can unlock characters. I don't believe you can't play as them, I don't think. Let's unlock this guy, whose name escapes me. I can't remember. Wow, I spent 175,000 duck dollars for a picture of this dork. Great. Incredible, really. Yeah, it's a bunch of unlockables. That's what you spend your money on that you collect in the game, and yeah, that's really about it. Aside from that, you have a hub area right here that allows you to access the different worlds. That does include the moon, folks. Yes, we will go to the moon. You can access that immediately. You can access pretty much any of the levels immediately. The moon is pretty damn hard. We'll probably start with... Let's just give Transylvania a shot, shall we? Let's do that. So we're going to travel over in that direction, and then we'll show you exactly what's happening.
Pack your bags, boys. We're off to Transylvania, and we're no coming back without the coin of the lost realm.
Ah yes, the original voice actors. The main guy's like 91 now, if you can actually believe that. What the hell just happened there? I have no idea. That was a little weird.
This is it, kids. Draculesti Manor, home of the legendary Drake von Vladstone, heir to the coin of the lost realm.
Boy, it's kind of creepy out here, isn't it? Uncle Scrooge, we're not gonna break into this guy's house, are we?
Of course not, Louis. This castle has been abandoned for centuries.
Hey, look at this. The Junior Woodchuck guidebook says Drake von Gladstone was best known by his nickname, Count Dracula Duck. Is there really a monster in there, Uncle Scrooge? Ah, don't be silly, Webby. Yeah, there's no such thing as Dracula. Right. He is right, isn't he, Uncle Scrooge?
Ah, of course he is, Louis. Vampires, banshees, and mischievous spirits are just a lot of superstitious hocus pocus. But you better stick close to me, just in case.
Finally, we can play. So can you guess what my biggest complaint about this is going to be? Yep, it's the cutscenes, and there are a lot of them. So we got, what, 2 Oh, another one! 3 cutscenes before we get to play anything. Great, great, okay. Thankfully, you can actually skip them, which is good, but it does... You have to skip them each individually, which is really rather annoying, and it keeps interrupting the gameplay. And the game is chock full of it. The tutorial's putting about 10 cutscenes in and of itself. Each of the levels has about 3 cutscenes to start, yeah? The cutscene to get into the level, the cutscene to get to the level, and then between 1 or 2 cutscenes before you're actually allowed to bloody play it, which is kind of ridiculous, quite frankly. It's really absolutely absurd. Now, they have the original voice actors, aside from the one guy that died, unfortunately. It does mean that Scrooge McDuck is like 91, so a lot of the voice acting is a little bit phoned in, to say the least, because, honestly, it's pretty difficult to be like the same guy that you were a bazillion years ago. And I can't even imagine. I mean, it's such an insane idea. It's really cool that they got the voice actors back, don't get me wrong, but it has resulted in some really weird stuff happening, which of course includes the kid characters not actually really sounding like kids. Some of them do a decent job, so the rest of them just really don't. Oh, that's nice. We actually don't have a cutscene here. That's actually kind of a oh, apparently it can't hit ghosts. Alright, good to know. That's actually kind of a surprise. Yeah. It might be a nice piece of fan service to have those cutscenes, but it interrupts the gameplay so frequently that it does get really, really annoying. Every time that you find an artifact in a level as a cutscene, there's sometimes a cutscene when you just come up to a particular part of a level and it decides, you know what, we want a cutscene here. There's like 3 cutscenes to get into each level. The tutorial has about 10 cutscenes, and it just keeps doing it over and over again. And I gotta be honest, you know, the whole nostalgia factor with the idea of, oh hey, the voice actors are back, really wears off quite quickly when it's consistently interrupting your pogo bouncing action, which is honestly what I wanted from this game. The pogoing is fun. Just bouncing around like a lunatic is hilarious. It's great fun, I enjoy it, and I would definitely recommend it for those who desire that duck pogo bouncing action, which I assume is a fairly limited gaming demographic. But, you know, the basic gameplay of the title is pretty good from what I could tell. Seems to be solid. I don't see anything specifically wrong with it. The pogoing works well. Taking out the enemies is usually quite interesting, and every now and again there's some interesting environmental things, but this consistent interruption gets on my nerves. It's like, yeah, get me out of here, but it's like, come on, I want to bounce more. I want to do the more of the bouncing stuff. Thankfully, that was a little bit short, and it looks like this is going to be like a mini boss fight or whatever, but still, there's so much of it that it really consistently interrupts the gameplay, and it didn't need to. Yeah? If you want to do cutscenes, bookend the level with them. Don't throw them in over and over and over again and interrupt the actual flow of the game. Like, you can barely go 2 minutes without it saying, you know what we really need? We need a cutscene. And as kind of cool as the voice acting is, and also as good as the character models are, I mean, you know, they look great, there's also a lack of emotion in a lot of them. Like, you may have noticed in the start at the entrance to the castle, for instance, that when they were suddenly scared by something, but then they immediately went back to their sort of standard idle animation of looking fairly sort of happy about everything. I know, I'm talking about ducks not looking emotional enough in particular scenes. That's how ridiculous this is getting. But if you're gonna say, hey, look at how much we've remastered this, and then get all that voice acting, at least kind of try and make the characters look like they're reflecting the emotions that they're trying to communicate with their voices. But because they don't. They frequently don't. Alright, through the teleporter we go. Where we stop, nobody knows. I guess are we back to the start again? That's kind of annoying. I'm not sure if I got everything that I needed there. Yeah, I did get the bit that I needed, so I guess we're backtracking at this stage. I mean, this is really all there is to it. There's not a lot else to say about DuckTales Remastered. I guess the question is, you know, as a nostalgia piece, does it actually work? And what do I think of it from the perspective of someone that didn't play the original DuckTales? Well, I think that I don't like my action being interrupted, and it happens all the bloody time, and it gets absolutely infuriating as a direct result. I do not appreciate that at all. Why they felt the need for it. I guess, you know, they needed as much use out of the voice actors as they could possibly get. Game's pretty punishing as well, but obviously I don't complain about that because the original game is quite punishing as well. You know, it's a tricky title, and you are forced to restart a significant chunk of the level if you end up losing a life. If you use all your continues, then you will just have to restart the whole bloody thing again, which is not ideal for some people, certainly. So I can definitely see that people would be frustrated by that. For the DuckTales nostalgia hit, outside of the game, just looking at the franchise, I don't hold enough nostalgia for DuckTales to be compelled to continue to play it, really. I think that remasters and remakes certainly have a place, but when they kind of lose sight of what made the original so great, then there are going to be problems with it. As to whether or not this lost sight of it, I don't know. I didn't play the original. I have no basis for comparison. All I do know is that if I want some platforming action, I don't want it to be consistently interrupted. And even if I have to go to the skip cinematic thing, it's still awkward, it still interrupts the momentum and flow of the level. And every level is like this, which is really annoying. You know, for the positive standpoint, I would say that the art assets, especially the characters, are great. I don't necessarily like this 2.5D thing they've got going on. I think if you're gonna make super HD character models, then having the 2.5D look to it kinda doesn't work half the time. Like, sometimes it does, in the sense that you want your character to be distinct from the background, and there's plenty of 2.5D games that flat out fail to do that, right? And it's good that it's distinct from the background. It's very, very good. However, the downside is that the backgrounds don't look anywhere near as good as the characters. And they actually don't, they almost don't look like they fit, really. It's like, oh, well, here's some fairly low texture quality 3D models in the background, and here's our absolutely fantastic character and enemy models in the foreground, and you're expected to kind of ignore what's going on in the background. It's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm paying attention to that man behind the curtain. I'm happy that it doesn't interfere with the foreground play, and there's plenty of examples of 2.5D games that do, but I am slightly less happy that it just doesn't look as good. I think that lets the art down a bit. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But it's not a bad-looking game by any stretch of the imagination. What I'd also say is that the game is absolutely phenomenal in terms of its soundtrack. Yeah, the voice acting might not be up to snuff all the time, but the actual soundtrack? Oh, it is. It is astonishing. It is really, really good. Like, some great remixes and ideas, good use of retro synth sounds with some more modern stuff without going too kind of crazy with it. That was a bad idea. It's good. It sounds awesome, actually. What was their ability to duck there? Apparently there was. Now, I'm gonna actually jump out of this level because I promised you a bit of moon, and I'm going to give you a bit of moon. My apologies. Alright. Let's do the moon level. I'm not even going to talk during this. Like, I've come to my conclusion on it. So before I do, like, 3 or 4 minutes of the moon, just to show you the music and how they've actually transformed this very iconic level, I'll just say that, for me, this doesn't really... It doesn't hit the buttons that I'm looking for. But I don't know if I was even looking for them to begin with. I wasn't looking for a remake of DuckTales. I had no interest in that. And some people might love it as a nostalgia hit, but for me, the constant interruption of the cutscenes and the extremely basic gameplay that, of course, is based on the original NES title doesn't work for me. It doesn't get me going because I didn't play the original NES title. So I feel this is a game for those that did, but even then, they may be bothered by the annoying insistence on throwing cutscenes at you every 90 seconds. So, there you go, folks. This is DuckTales Remastered, currently available on 360, PlayStation 3, and Steam. $15 your regional equivalent. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you with some footage from the moon, with the music, and without me talking. Enjoy.
It's It's a long way to the moon, lads. But the green cheese of longevity will make it worth the trip. Up, up, and away!
Gosh, Mr. McDuck! I've never been to the moon before!
Well, when it comes to space cadets, Fenton, you're a natural. Now, Gyro, why in blazes are we chewing this awful blue muck?
Why, that's Oxy Chew, Mr. McDuck. It's my latest invention, oxygen-flavored taffy. 5 good chews and you can breathe on the lunar surface without a spacesuit. Oh, and it tastes great, too.
That, Gyro, is a matter of opinion. Now, which way to the green cheese?
What do you mean? Isn't it all around us?
Yeah? How do you figure?
Everybody knows the whole moon's made of green cheese. Well, that's what my dear mama said.
And you to take a feather brain like you to believe her. Ugh, sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna... Wait, what's that?
Look, here's someone who could give us directions. Hello?
Ah!
Mr. McDuck! Help!
Oh, no! We've got to save him!
Do we really?
We do if you want to find that treasure of yours, Mr. McDuck. Fenton was carrying the Gizmo Duck suit. That's the only thing we've got powerful enough to break into the moon vault.
All right, fine. Stay here and guard the supplies while I look for that bumbling bookkeeper. Why, that looks like the same spaceship that took off with Fenton. Well, I guess this means I'm invited on board. I didn't get rich by being foolish.